Hello, I'm Cass. Welcome back to a very exciting and special reading vlog. There's a couple reasons why this reading vlog is so exciting. It kind of goes without saying these days that Ranger's Apprentice is my one and only personality trait. It is my all-time favorite series by John Flanagan, and I've been reading it and rereading it and rereading it ever since I was a kid. I just adore the entire series with my whole being, and this series is also so special because there's multiple series within this whole universe. So there's the main series of Ranger's Apprentice, a companion series called Brother Ban, a prequel series called Early Years, and then a spin-off series called The Royal Ranger. And recently the 7th book of the Royal Ranger series has been released, and it's Ambush at Serrato. And I am so unbelievably excited to pick this up and read it. It is very short, but regardless, I am very excited to be picking this book up. And this is also a very social video because of the format in which this video is going to be. Now, about a month ago, I went to the Netherlands for the very first time. In the Netherlands, they have Ranger's Apprentice Day, and I have been wanting to go to this ever since I heard of its existence. So obviously when I finally got the chance to go, I had to, of course, commemorate the experience and make this vlog for you all. Here's how it's gonna work. We're gonna kind of go back and forth in time. All the b-roll from this video is going to be from my Netherlands trip. I'll kind of give an explanation as to what's to come, like what day we're on and what we do that day before the b-roll plays, and then I'll come back to you with an update for Royal Ranger. Now, this is a very short book, so I don't know how many updates I'll do. First up, we gotta get to the Netherlands. Day 1, I explored Amsterdam with my friend Rosalie. She actually runs the Citizens of Araluen Instagram, and she was, until literally this last Ranger's Apprentice Day, the head of the fan club in the Netherlands. It was so exciting to finally meet her in person. We have been friends online for years and years, but this is the first time we officially met. So we explored Amsterdam together, did some book shopping, of course. Let's go ahead and get to the Netherlands and explore Amsterdam. With Wheel of Time, so hopefully he'll do the same with Rothfuss.
Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I'm on book 6, but my friends told me that towards the end isn't as good, and then when Sanderson takes over, it gets good
better
again.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if he's going to be hired for Game of Thrones too.
I heard that too, actually. I heard that if he dies, he will finish that. But again, he is prolific and actually writes books, unlike the other ones.
Yeah.
Alright, well, yeah, enjoy.
Thank you. I have an update for you all. I'm 105 pages in, already on chapter 15. These chapters are so short, it's actually insane. And let's just talk about this book real quick. And briefly, I want to talk about Ranger's Apprentice and what it's about and what we're doing in this book, because this is book 7 in the Roller Ranger series, and I'm not gonna be trying to explain all the backstory and history to try to get to book 7 when we're already like so deep into the series, and like the main series already happened too, so we're even like deeper into the series. Long story short, the main series of Ranger's Apprentice follows a boy named Will, and he joined the group of Rangers, which is basically a task force of elite archers that are there to protect the kingdom, there to be the eyes and the ears of the kingdom, and we follow Will through his adventures and him kind of growing up throughout the 10, 11 books in the main series. And then Roller Ranger, the spin-off series, follows Maddie, who is Will's apprentice. So Will's all grown up and has an apprentice of his own, and we're following primarily Maddie, and she is the first girl ranger in the corps. Now, the thing about Maddie is she is in fact a royal ranger. She is actually a princess, hence the royal Ranger. Her books have not been my absolute favorite, I will say. I have read each one as they have come out, and they're not as strong as the main series. And the plight that they fall into is the fact that many of them are part 1s and part 2s and to be continues, when typically in the main series there's like this long story arc where the arc actually is expanded for 4 books, 3 books, 2 books that are like thick in length, like 300 plus pages. What had happened was, well, like my conspiracy theory that is that they switched focus for the Roller Ranger to be directly aimed for children and to be marketed towards children. And you can't, I mean, you can have these 300 plus page books, but I think his publisher wanted him to split up books to part 1s and part 2s. And it's just really condensed this story down to where we used to get chapters of these characters traveling, lots of witty dialogue, lots of interactions, and so far in this book it's been very cut and dry, where it's like these 2 characters are together and they travel for a chapter and then they go to sleep, and then they wake up the next morning and they travel, they have like a little bit of dialogue, and then they then talk to someone else, and then the next chapter starts. So they're very choppy and time is passing very quickly compared to the other books where it's a little bit more drawn out. You get to see a little bit more character development, and I really like the dialogue between the characters because you get to see more of their relationship through their banter, and I just adore the characters so much. It's one of the main reasons I absolutely love this series. This one is just not doing it. Already they've split up our 2 main characters, so Maddie is off doing her own thing and Will is off doing his own thing, which I would appreciate normally, because then we could have seen Maddie truly like on her own, which we've seen in the past books of the Roller Ranger, but still something like what she's going to face, it's a bigger deal, I feel like, than in past books. So them being split off is really cool. But the early chapters of her being alone are just so boring. Like, nothing is really happening. I know this is like the opposite of what I just said, but things that could have happened in 1 chapter are now being like spread out between like 3 and 4 chapters. But it's not, it's just, it didn't need to be, because then you could have put more action per chapter. I love Ranger's Apprentice. I really, really do. And it hurts me to say anything negative about this book because I know I'm gonna give it a 5-star because I literally can't bring myself to rate Ranger's Apprentice below a 5-star. But if you were not a hardcore Ranger's Apprentice fan like me, I just don't think this book is really providing much. I did really like the beginning because it was very reminiscent of book 10 of Ranger's Apprentice, because in book 10 we're in a foreign land and we get to learn how their battle strategies work, and we're getting that again, except for a condensed SparkNote version, which is so annoying. But I really appreciate it because I'm actually a cartographer, if y'all didn't know, and I'm currently in this massive reread of the Ranger's Apprentice series digitally, and I have been annotating every location, every town name, every river, every path that these characters take. I have been annotating, and I'm going to make like an accurate to world Ranger's Apprentice map, because the map in the book, it ain't it. Let's just say that it is not it. So I'm slowly but surely annotating the series, and I'm just trying to detach from that while reading this book, because it is literally instinct now when I see a location name to like stop and be like, I need to write this down. I need to make note. But I'm trying to just like enjoy this read, and then when I do a reread digitally, I'll actually like annotate location markers. But they've provided so much more in this book, which makes my heart very happy. We're exploring much more in depth these countries that we previously hadn't explored, like Toscana and even Genovesa, which I absolutely butchered saying. I don't know how to say it, but it's so exciting because we've always seen the Genovisans painted as enemies. They're basically hired mercenaries, but typically they're hired as like assassins. However, we actually get to see one of our main characters interact with them and with like their leader and stuff, and it's so interesting because in so many past books they've been painted as the enemy, and so to finally get to see like the inner workings and more locations and such in this country, it's just so exciting for little old me. I'm gonna sit here and probably finish this book so quickly, and I'm trying to take my time, but it's not my fault. It's literally the size of a novella. This should be criminal, quite frankly. I want John Flanagan to go back to writing like 350-page books because he just packed so much substance into them and so much character development, and there's just not been anything. Like most of the time in the main series, even side characters you could get really attached to. And the side character that we have in this book, I'm not really feeling. He's so bland. And we even got old characters from Ranger's Apprentice, such as Celethan from book 7. I know my Ranger's Apprentice, don't try me. You would think that I'd be more excited about seeing the old characters, and it's just not hitting the same. That's enough for this update. I think I've harped on this book long enough. So let's talk about the next thing that we're doing. I'm still in Amsterdam with Rosalie, and we're still doing more book shopping. I get to visit my first ever Waterstones. There's only one Waterstones in the entirety of the Netherlands, and I got to visit it. Let me tell you, it was absolutely spectacular getting to see nothing but like UK covers. It was just such a delightful time, truly. And then we did so much walking. So much walking. Y'all, I truly underestimated my ability to walk long distances. I walked nearly 10,000 steps a day, and I did not pack shoes that were built for walking, okay? The boots were not made for walking, but I wore them without complaint. I was regretting not packing sneakers though, because God, we did so much walking. But by the end, we did finally cave and take buses back to Rosalie's because we were not about to walk like the 30 to 40 minutes to get back home. So let's go ahead and do some more book shopping. That little snippet of conversation that you heard at the end of the B-roll was actually someone who approached me, and he just started talking about Brandon Sanderson with me because I was looking at all the beautiful UK Brandon Sanderson paperbacks, and I was like really debating buying some, but I decided to hold off on it and potentially order some once I got back because my luggage is already so full by the time we got to this last bookshop, and it was only day one of being in the Netherlands. So I decided to take a little pause and reevaluate how much I could realistically fit in my luggage, which thank goodness I did, because y'all, when I tell you I was doing some WWE to get that suitcase closed, I was, okay? It was really touch and go there, and I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to lug everything home. So now that we finished with all the book shopping from the first day, I wanted to do a little bit of a book haul. I don't quite have a reading update for you all right now. I haven't read any more of Ambush at Serato, but we'll get to that in the next update. For now, I did want to do a little bit of a book haul because I actually bought 4 books. Well, I bought 3 books and 1 was gifted to me, and I'm so excited about all of them. So I'm just gonna talk through all of the ones that I got. The first one being The Library of Heartbeats by Leora Messina. And this is not a book that I had ever heard of prior to just spotting this gorgeous cover. So I thought I'd just read the inside blip for you get an idea of what it's about. On the peaceful Japanese island of Tashima, there's a special archive, a place where the heartbeats of visitors from all around the world are collected. In this small, isolated building, the heartbeats of people who are still alive or have already passed continue to echo. Many miles away in the ancient city of Kamakura, 2 lonely souls meet. Shuchi, a 40-year-old illustrator who returns to his hometown to fix up the house of his recently deceased mother, and 8-year-old Kenta, a child who wanders like a shadow around Suchi's house. Day by day, the trust between Suchi and Kenta grows until they discover they share a bond that will tie them together for life. Their journey will lead them to Tashima into the Library of Heartbeats. It just sounded like such a beautiful and heartfelt story. I will probably read this when I feel like I really need to go through it and if I really need to feel something, because this really seems like a book that is going to make me cry. It literally just sounds like a beautiful story, and I've never read anything by this author. I had never heard of the book prior, so I was just excited to pick it up. And the cover is just, it's just stunning, truly, and I couldn't pass up nabbing a copy. The next book is The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted to pick up this particular cover because I prefer it over the US cover, so I decided to grab it. I actually don't think I know what this one is about, so let's find out together. Joel is fascinated by the magic of arithmetic, but few have the gift and he's not one of them. Undaunted, Joel persuades Professor Fitch to teach him magical theory. Joel can't infuse his protective lines and circles with power or bring his chalk-down creatures to life, but he's quick to master the underlying geometric principles. His unique skills will soon face an extraordinary test when top arithmetist students are kidnapped from his academy. Since he's not a magic user, Joel appears to be safe, but he's desperate to investigate and prove himself. Then, people start dying. However, can Joel really stop a killer alone? As even more students disappear, he realizes he'll need the help of arithmetist apprentice Melody. Together they must race to find clues before the killer notices them and takes them out too. So it feels like it's kind of like a murder mystery, and I just love the principle of math magic, because that's the vibe I'm getting right now, is math magic. I personally love math so much. I miss math. I've literally debated reteaching myself algebra just to solve equations for fun. Yes, I was that insane person who just adored math in high school. Math Magic Academy book sounds delightful and is Brandon Sanderson. So I've actually not really seen any reviews on this. Like, I know people have read it, obviously it's Brandon Sanderson, but I really don't know what the general consensus about this book is. Like, when I went into like Elantris, I knew that people were either like really love it or they really didn't like it. So I'm actually really curious. Let me know if any of you have read The Arithmetist, because give me your thoughts. What should my expectations be going into this? Is this like a Brandon Sanderson work, or is it like Brandon Sanderson work? Does that make sense? Y'all get me. And then the next book that I got, it's so cute, y'all. It's smaller than my head. I got The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have actually never read The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. Y'all, this looks so goofy. Like holding it up next to me. And when I saw this tiny copy, I really just needed it immediately. And the best part about the tiny copy is it has a tiny map in the front and in the back. Hang on now. Look at that! It made my heart so happy. I had debated picking this up, and then I looked on the inside and saw the tiny map, and I was like, I need it. I need it in my life so much. And I love it so much. It makes me so happy. It's beautiful. I love her. If you don't know what The Hobbit is about, that's on you. I'm not reading the blip in the inside. I do have plans to read it this year though, so be on the lookout for that vlog, and it's just so exciting, and it's so cute. The last book is actually a book in Dutch. Do I speak Dutch? No. Brotherband, book 4, The Slaves of Sakaro, or in this case, Broderband. I feel like that was decent. How did I do? All you Dutchies, how did I do? But this was my favorite cover of Brotherband, and I prefer this one so much over the US edition. Look at Gillen and Lydia. I am just obsessed. I'm obsessed with like all the Dutch covers, and I wanted to literally just like go down the aisle of the bookstore and just scoop them into a cart, but my bank account said I shouldn't do that, so I didn't. Now, this was actually a gift. Rosalie was supposed to buy me the first book in Dutch. We waited until Ranger's Apprentice Day to do so, and then we both got so wrapped up doing Ranger's Apprentice Day things that by time we got around to buying the book, it was actually sold out. So instead, she chose my favorite Brother Band cover to gift to me instead, and I just love it so much. I have it forward facing. I recently reorganized my Ranger's Apprentice shelves, which I haven't done in literally years, so we have this beauty forward facing next to all my other Brother Band books, and I love her so much. That was my little book haul. This looks like it would be very light, but it made my luggage very heavy. I don't know anything worse than being a book lover traveling to different countries with nothing but a carry-on and a backpack, because oh my gosh, when I say it was touch and go, y'all, it was so touch and go. I did also want to show off another little tidbit, a little gift that I was gifted to at the end of Ranger's Apprentice Day, and it's this gorgeous mug. I don't know if you can see. I don't know why I'm like trying to move out of frame, but there's this oak leaf like etched onto it, and I love it so much. It is so beautiful, and it has like a little acorn on the side, which I'm just now seeing. I didn't realize it also had an acorn on it, but this was actually gifted to me by the fan club at the end of Ranger's Apprentice Day as like a thank you for helping out, which was so sweet, and it made me so happy. That is the end of this little book haul portion. Now we get to explore my personal favorite place, which was Leiden. Now, I met up with Charlie, who has been a long-time subscriber, and we got to meet up, and she showed me around Leiden. She knew that I wanted to see boats. Like the second I saw the boats, I was like, Charlie. She's like, we'll get to the boats. Settle down. We also did a touch of book shopping. I just hauled, you know, anything that I got already. This is all the books that I got. I literally could not fit any more in my luggage, okay? I had to be like, time out. I also got to try my very first Stroopwafel, and it was so good. It's like a thin, crispy waffle with caramel in between, and it was such a delicacy. And I also got to see a fort. It wasn't quite a castle, but it'll do until the next time I go back. The next time I go back, I'm going to see a proper castle. But the fort was still, once again, impeccable. Like I said, Leiden had all the vibes that I wanted and more, and I was just obsessed. I loved Leiden so much. I don't think I mentioned in the intro, but I went to Amsterdam, Leiden, Haarlem, and Rotterdam. Okay, Haarlem I didn't really go to. I kind of walked through, but Leiden was my absolute favorite. So let's go ahead and explore Leiden. I have loved getting to relive such a glorious trip to the Netherlands through this video, and I've still got more for ya. First though, let's talk a little bit more about Ambush at Storado, because I'm almost done with it and I'm not ready for it to be over, because I'm not like having the time of my life, but it's so fun getting to read new content in the Ranger's Apprentice universe. I'm on page 178 out of 231, and we're finally getting to the big climactic ambush at Storado. So, you know, very exciting things. Things were going a little bit too right for all of our characters in this book. I was getting a little annoyed, and like right as I was thinking about that, something went wrong. Granted, it was very quickly and very easily resolved, which peeved me just a touch. But I was so happy that finally there was like some resistance to the good guys and all of their plans just perfectly falling into place. I do think we're gonna get like a little bit of trouble in the last battle in terms of things not going perfectly right. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. I'm mixed about this book. I am really mixed because it's kind of a combo of book 7 and book 4 of the main Ranger's Apprentice series. However, I can't be too mad about it because if this was written with the knowledge that perhaps not everyone that reads this book have read the main Ranger's Apprentice series, then I think this is offering something new in this Royal Ranger series that we haven't had yet before. So that's kind of cool. But for me, it does kind of feel like the same old a little bit. It's still cool to read new content, like I said. It's just things went a little bit too perfectly in this book, and that's just a touch annoying. You thought I was done exploring the Netherlands. You were wrong. There's more. We are on to Rotterdam now. This is day 3, and I actually met the very wonderful and extremely kind Leora Eileen. I'll of course link her channel below. I had just reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be in the Netherlands for a week. If you have time, do you want to meet up? So we met up, we got some coffee, we walked around, did a little bit of shopping, and it was just delightful. I relate to Leora in the way that she also runs a shop. So balancing like the shop and the YouTube side, it was really cool to just be around someone so creative. I just love the energy that she had. We just jived so well and we literally got on like we had known each other for like years. It was just so fun, and I really hope that I can go back next year and hopefully, you know, see her again. Honestly, every single person that I met during my trip in the Netherlands was just absolutely a delight. From Charlie to Rosalie, Leora, to the wonderful, beautiful people of the Ranger's Apprentice fan club. Like every single one of them showed me so much kindness, and it was just it was such an experience. But there's still more to see and more to say. So something about Rotterdam that I learned, and it was kind of nice because this happened in Leiden too, because Charlie knew a lot of the history of Leiden. I got my own little like personal historians traveling with me, so Leora also explained like the history of Rotterdam and why it was so much more modern compared to the other cities in the Netherlands. It's just really cool to learn so much history about a country that I had really known very little about prior. Well, Rotterdam wasn't my favorite because it literally just looked like an American city in my opinion. It was still delightful, and I ended up walking through this beautiful, beautiful park, ended up walking along a harbor side, and y'all know how I feel about boats. I finished Ambush at Serrato, and I have some thoughts, especially at the end, how things resolved. The cliffhanger, but not cliffhanger, but I'll get to that because this is a really quick update. I just wanted to put this in here before we got to what you've all been waiting for. I don't know if y'all all have been waiting for this, but the most exciting thing that happened during this trip, which is of course Ranger's Apprentice Day. I had such an absolute blast. Thinking about it makes me so happy. Like the B-roll you're about to see makes me so happy. Just like the whole thing, the atmosphere, the vibes. Everyone together that was in this festival was for the love of Ranger's Apprentice. And I've just never been surrounded by so many people that just adore Ranger's Apprentice as much as I do. And it was just so, so cool to see. Without further ado, let's go. Let's go experience Ranger's Apprentice Day. told y'all. I told y'all it was an absolute delight. But I am here to wrap up this vlog and to give my final thoughts on Ambush at Serato. I have to give this 5 stars. Like I said, I am heavily biased towards the Ranger's Apprentice series, so you're not gonna get anything less than a 5 out of me. However, ranking wise, I did enjoy this book more than some other ones in the series and in like the Ranger's Apprentice world as a whole. Like I said earlier, it felt like a combo of a bunch of different books, and then the ending felt like bits from book 8 as well. Now, when there's 29 books out in this world, I'm not surprised that we're getting like a little bit of repeats in terms of the enemies and circumstances, because in this book, the big bad enemy is the Temujai, which we've gotten in Return of the Temujai, Brother Band, book 8. And then we also had the Temujai as an enemy, as an enemy in book 4, The Battle for Scandia. So they are still a big bad enemy. The way that this book leaves off very much leads me to believe that we haven't seen the last of the Temujai, and we also haven't seen the end of Maddie and her story, because there was a lot of times where she's like, wow, I still have so much to learn, and I'm just really curious to see, one, how many books he writes in the series, because like I said, I don't see an end in sight. I would love to see her balancing like being a ranger with being a princess. We've got to see that like just smidge, but to see her as like a fully fledged ranger would be so cool, because we're getting to see her through her years of apprenticeship, but she's yet to actually get the silver oak leaf, and I'm assuming that will be the last book that we get is her with her silver oak leaf, because in the main series we had Will gain his silver oak leaf, which for those of you who don't know, the apprentices have bronze oak leafs and they train for 5 years and then they graduate to get the silver oak leaf, and then they go on and they have their own fief. Now obviously things will be a little bit different for Maddie because she is the princess, but I'm not sure if he's going to continue the series on after she gets her silver, because that's how Will's story went, and I know he didn't want this to be a exact parallel to Will's story. I will say though, speaking of Will, I feel like for a book that follows Maddie primarily as a character, we like barely got anything out of her. In fact, it felt like Will was the main protagonist, and that was like a little bit annoying, because the whole purpose of the Royal Ranger book series was to focus on Maddie, and yes, on Will as like the mentor, but it's still like at the core, it's Maddie's story. So we got no character development from either of them. There was like barely anything that we got, and the interactions between the two of them were so far and few that was really frustrating. It was just an odd choice to have Will almost take up more chapters. There also were more than usual chapters from the enemy's point of view, which we got previously, but they were more sprinkled in here and there. I felt like our main battle commander of the Temujai, we got so many chapters from him, and I don't know if that's because this is like a lead up into like a bigger arc with the Temujai, or it was just like a creative choice for John Flanagan to give us a lot of, you know, POVs in the head of the enemy. I really love the mixture of the Genovesans, the Eridans, as well as the Tuscans. That was a really unique combo of groups of people we hadn't had prior. So from my little like super into Ranger's Apprentice heart, I loved getting to see the treaties expand between these countries and these countries interact in new ways that we hadn't seen. And again, we hadn't really been to Tuscan, even though it's neighboring Heirloom. A great time, but there was also a lot in this book that really peeved me. So it's kind of a toss-up between loving it because it's more Ranger's Apprentice and new content, but also disliking the lack of characters. I felt like we almost focused on such a big picture, which again, I know I keep comparing it to like the main Ranger's Apprentice series, but in the main Ranger's Apprentice series, we would get something like this, but with so much more character interaction and dialogue and character development. I just felt like it was Ranger's Apprentice, the condensed version and the watered down version, but I still had a great time reading. I've literally just gone book shopping to buy this book and read this book today. That's all I've done, and it has just been a wonderful, wonderful time. Like I said a billion cajillion times, Ranger's Apprentice is my all-time favorite series, and it's been so long since I've done a video like purely dedicated to my love for the Ranger's Apprentice series. So if this didn't convince you to pick up Ranger's Apprentice, I don't know what will. Seriously, it just makes me so, so happy, and let me know if I've convinced you to read Ranger's Apprentice. I want to thank everyone so much for watching. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this kind of reading vlog slash travel vlog and getting to see my adventures through the Netherlands. It was truly such a phenomenal experience, and I really hope to be back next year. So fingers crossed that happens. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I really, really hope to see you in the next one. Toodles!